What is up, everybody? We are back and I've got a good one for you today. Today is OCD exposure story time. And this is a story that happened to me last Wednesday and today's Monday. And normally this type of situation would have kept me shook for weeks and months. And it's been less than a week and I'm already feeling unattached to the situation. So that's awesome news, and I want to share that with you guys, let you kind of know what happened and how I've worked through it. And this is an OCD story pertaining to contamination OCD, specifically the fear of blood for the reason of HIV contamination. So last Wednesday, I had it scheduled at the end of the day to go to a client's house to pick up a deposit. Now, I had already picked up my daughter from school, so I brought her along with me. This is a really cool client. She has grandkids that she watches regularly, so I knew it would be no big deal to bring my daughter over. She also has 2 dogs that are really nice, so I thought it'd be perfect. So we get over to her house. She allows us in through the garage door. I walk in the garage door. I walk to the front of her kitchen because that's the adjoining room right there. And my daughter's right behind me. The dogs are all in front of us, excited to see us. And I hear a scream and I hear the door slam and a scream. And my client comes walking through the kitchen hallway holding her finger, puts her finger, relatively like near my face and goes, "Look." She had slammed her finger in the door to the point where it literally burst the top of her finger and her finger is just dripping blood. Now, immediately my fight or flight goes from 0 to 100 and I'm instantly terrified, but I've got my daughter right behind me, so I've got to keep it together. I've also got this lady who's dripping blood everywhere and is not really containing herself. So I tell her, I say, "Hey, go over to the sink, grab a rag and stop the bleeding." So with that instruction, she goes and does that. Now I'm standing right in front of where the majority of the blood is and my daughter is immediately behind me. The dogs are going insane, stepping in all the blood. And then one of them attempted to jump up and get excited and lick my daughter. So in one split second, I pushed the dog out of the way. My daughter's standing right in front of her den door, which I know through that door is a bunch of kids' toys for her grandkids. So I literally pushed the dog out of the way, stick my foot out to block him from coming back up, open that door, push my daughter in that door, and close the door. Then, I know from working in her home, while we're working in there, we corral the dogs into the back room. So I instantly do that. I go to the back room and I call the dogs. The dogs come over, follow me, boom, I've shut them in the room. So now I've got the dogs out of the blood. I've got my daughter away from the situation. I come back in, I open the door to check on my daughter, thinking she's probably really scared. She's already digging through the chest for toys. So I compose myself for a little bit. I actually go in and I inspect her, which I think was pretty a normal thing to do. But I look her over. She's got no blood on her. So I say, okay, this is a good start to this situation. Then I come out from that room and my client is under the sink, has got the blood to somewhat stop. So I keep her on that task. She gets the blood to stop. Now we're picking colors for an accent wall. So she's so focused on getting back to the colors that we've got blood all over the floor still. There's some blood on the counter and her finger has stopped bleeding to the point where it's dripping, but it's still an open wound. And she's grabbing these swatches of color and trying to work with me on what colors to choose. And I tell her, I said, "Ma'am, I think the best thing we can do right now is kind of clean this blood up so it's not, a mess of a situation. And then we can get back to these swatches." So I didn't, me, I ain't wiping up someone else's blood. So I step back and I allow her to clean up the blood. And then we get back to what we're doing, but she still hasn't put a Band-Aid on. So every card she's touching and putting down on the back of the card has a little bit of her blood. So I'm on red alert. Got my daughter out of the situation, which was the first, important thing for me to do. Now I'm paranoid. I'm paranoid to set my things down anywhere because I don't know what's blood drops and what's not. I don't want to take the swatches from her. And I am probably pale white. My heart is pounding. I'm just really shook up. But I understand that this is a job that we've planned for a while. I need to compose myself, finish the task that I came here to do, and just avoid the blood at the best that I can. And now I'm walking, so there might be a little bit that I'm stepping on, but just avoid it at all, as much as I can. So we get through the entire job. We get to the end when we're talking about, you know, picking up the deposit, and I start, you know, panicking again because I realize she's counting out money to pay me for this deposit. And now I need to take this money from her, which could have a little bit of blood here or there on it. However, at this point, she's got a Band-Aid on. So she says to me, she says, "Man, you seem really panicky. Do you not want to take on this job?" And I had to swallow for a second and say, "No, I apologize. I am really uncomfortable with other people's blood, and that's why I'm in a little bit of a panic." And she says, "Yeah, you know, you're pale white. I've never seen you like this." I said, I'm really sorry. It has nothing to do with the job or the job details. It's just this blood. I don't like other people's blood. It really is the one thing that really bothers me." So she understood, actually stopped what she was doing, cleaned up the rest of the blood, washed her hands off, put a new Band-Aid on, and then gave me the money. And said, "Okay," said, "All right, we'll see you in a day or so to begin this project." We leave the house. Between that time, she gave my daughter a lollipop because she's being so good waiting, and my daughter drops it on the floor that she just wiped up that had blood all over it. So I was like, "Listen, first thing we doing when we leave here, we taking that lollipop, we getting that thing out of here." I said, "Get rid of that lollipop." And she's upset. I said, "I'm taking you to 7-Eleven. You can buy whatever candy you want. Get that lollipop the hell out of here right now." So we got rid of the lollipop. We get in the car. We get to 7-Eleven. I get her out of the car. I look myself over. I look her over. Probably nobody's surprised about this, having contamination OCD, but I managed to get out of that situation without either of us getting any blood on us, and without getting any blood on our clothes, even from the dogs going crazy, which I wasn't surprised because I'd be blocking those dogs, chucking my kid in the room. I was like the blood police. Ain't nobody getting bloody around here except you, lady. So she gets all cleaned up. You know, we leave. I have no blood on me. My daughter has no blood on her. I'm feeling good about the situation, but still that panic sets in, and I'm still feeling that. I get home, I tell my fiance about what happened, not in a way to get reassurance, but just in a way of like, "Wow, this is a crazy ass thing that just happened. Would you believe this shit?" Like, excuse my language, but it was nuts. And, you know, so that night, you know, we're laying in bed and I'm about to fall asleep, and I start having like intrusive thoughts of like, you know, she put that blood like really close to your face. What if like a droplet, you know, went into your mouth and you didn't even know it, you know, and my heart starts racing, starts beating. Then I'm thinking about going to the job one day from now, and we're going to be in that vicinity, probably near the counters. I'm thinking, you know, am I going to end up touching some of this dried blood later? And my mind wanted me to start, you know, researching, you know, can you get AIDS from dry blood? You know, how long does HIV stay in dry blood? But I knew that was only going to fuel the mind to believe that there was danger in this situation. So I just continued to fall back on reality, what really happened. My client hurt themselves. My client dripped some blood on her way to the sink. We stayed out of the blood. She cleaned the blood. No blood got onto us. And for the most part, I didn't touch anything that had blood on it at all. Not for the most part at all. And I just kept remembering that. And I kept telling myself, you know, another thing that really helped me through this was, I said, this is the Lord. You know, what are the chances that you show up at her house at the end of the day and that's when she slams her finger in the door? I say, that's the Lord, you know, strengthening you for the greatness ahead. So I tried to just almost relish in the fact that, hey, this is making me stronger. This exposure is going to make me that much stronger moving forward if I handle it correctly. And for the next couple of days, it had been on my mind. The job began. and I was on high alert. I'm looking over everything. I'm like, look at this little red in the granite. Is that in the granite or is that dry blood? Like, I was on high alert, but I wasn't doing any compulsions or any real ruminating about it after the fact. I just said, hey, we need to get this job done. This is just something that happened and it's not going to affect me in a negative way. And that's how that kind of went. And it's been a week. We finished the job today, and I walked into the area where the blood was. You know, we did a lot of work in the home. And now I don't know if she cleaned up every single amount. I don't know if there was any on the bottom of my shoes. I wiped them in the grass the best I could, but I said, hey, when she was bleeding, I did the best that I could do to get us out of the situation clean. And I did that. And that's what I just continue to remember. And today it's not really bothering me. I'll sit here and literally think, wow, that was so much blood. That was, you know, and a year ago when I would do this, I would be panicking right now. I would have honestly probably already gone and taken an HIV test by now, which is pretty ridiculous, but honestly, I would have, and I would have probably taken an HIV test every month for the next 3 months just because she bled in front of me, not on me. I wasn't cut, I wasn't bleeding, but she just bled in front of me, which usually terrifies me so bad that it makes me act on one of those compulsions, which is to go get an HIV test to be certain that I don't have it. And I didn't do that this time. I handled it the best I could. We joked about it the whole job about how, you know, I'm up on ladders, I can do this, I can do that. A little bit of blood comes out and I'm ready to faint, which is true, but I think I handled it in a good way and I feel really proud of myself. So I wanted to jump on here, share that with you guys. If you guys deal with that, I'm sure that story terrifies you. And it terrifies me. You know, go back and watch my videos of how shook I've been at clients' house because I thought I maybe touched some stain that was red. Like, this was a very scary situation for me. And I'm proof that if I can do it, you guys don't even know the full story of the mental health things that I've been through. So if I can go through a situation like that, you guys can too. So like always, like this video so other people can find it. Leave me a comment of some ways that you got through a really tough, unexpected exposure. And like always, hit that subscribe button. I literally have a crisp $100 bill sitting in the other room to bring into an organization in my community that does good, but nobody's left me a comment on who you think it should go to. The YMCA, the Boys and Girls Club. I have this little small cottage place that is a family counseling center, and it's so small that they can't have a ton of funds. I've been in the building because they received the last $100, and the place just is not being even well taken care of. So you know they don't have a lot of funds. So if nobody on this video requests somewhere in Southwest Florida that deserves a $100 donation, it's going to go to them again. So please hit this like button, leave me a comment. Y'all be well.